Aloha, beautiful souls. How are we all today? We're getting our moo vibes on. Lemuria. I bought this dolphin
My
when
goodness.
I first arrived in Vanuatu.
Wow.
Before I was getting all these Lemuria downloads and we knew we were doing this show, and I called her Lemuria, so something's been going on for a little while. So she is
Wonderful.
here to assist us. Welcome, Micheal, Muir. I think that Raeline's a little bit frozen there, but let's see if we can get her back.
Okay.
And but Micheal, how are you today?
Excited. Raeline was just talking about the holding the trident piece, so really looking forward to hearing more about that in regards to this great southern land, this great southern hemisphere, and what we have to offer today as a trifecta, if you will. Feels really exciting. And to be with you guys again feels really good. 3 in a row now, 3 weekends in a row. Is it? I think.
Haven't we done really well?
It's really good.
We're going to keep it going now, Micheal. We'll call you up every other week. You're so amazing, Micheal, because you just jump into lives. You know, you get the call and the feeling. And even last weekend, you gave us that extra treat on the Sunday morning with the Andromedan dragons, and I just had such a huge activation from our show. I told you I went and I had a 2 hours sleep, and then I slept 12 hours that night, and then got to do the activation with you the next day. And then I just kept sleeping. So I was in a deep healing space. So I just want to say thank you so much. It was just absolutely divine. And I know today we're going to really, dive deep. I mean, that's that's probably a bit of a pun, isn't it? Diving deep into the Lemurian waters. If we can get Raeline back, we had it all going there, and anyway, I can see it coming back in now. But I'll pop up some comments and say hello to the amazing Christopher, Elijah, Nate, Bonnie. I'm not going to get through them all, but anyway, Sandy, hello. You were part of the show last week. It was great to have you there, Sandy. Hi, guys. So good that you're all chiming in. Let's get Raeline back on. Here she is. Beautiful soul. Come back to us. Can you hear us, Raeline? Hey, Tanya, or Tanis, sorry. I believe you're from...
everyone. Here I am. I hope I stay on.
Yeah, I hope you do too.
I can hear you.
Why do they do this? We got some beautiful people here from New Zealand. So I guess for anyone who is feeling that inspiration from this, I guess that Easter Island, Hawaii, Australia kind of triangulation, we have that connection to the islands. You there, Raeline? And there's this sense of what I downloaded a little while ago was a calling for the chiefs and the queens of Lemuria to resurrect the love grids. And little did I know at the time.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, darling. You're a little bit stilted, but I'll keep chatting and we'll see if we can get you back in. Maybe go out and come back in, Raeline. See how you go. And what I found was so many people heeded that call. They knew they had that resonance with that title, either the chief or the queen. And I think for so long we've been talking about kings and queens on earth, but the chief energy is very significant to the native frequencies that are coming in at the moment. And so I downloaded this, I wrote a post about it, there was so much interaction, and lo and behold, a few days later, me being in Vanuatu, right in the Muir area, 2 cyclones came, not one, but 2 cyclones came as I was talking about Lemuria resurfacing. We also had an underwater volcano and 2 earthquakes. You cannot make this up. I was in the center of these storms and I'm like, This is very interesting, and obviously very, very challenging on the nervous system to be going through something like that. But I know it was this huge upgrade of frequencies, not only for me, but for anyone that was tuning in at that time to the Lemurian energy, because that call went out, everyone sent energy, and we literally just shifted the tectonic plates. The winds came in, everything started to swirl around, everything got reset. And so this is where we find ourselves now. So how you going there, Raeline? Have a chat with us, see if we can hear you.
I'm here, and I hope you can hear me and it's clear. Is that clear?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, yeah, I mean, I would like to speak to that. Lemuria is very much about ocean currents. There's a mother spring in Lemuria, and it's regulated by, and our oceans, the oceans around our planet are regulated by an ocean that's within the center of our planet. There's more water inside our planet than on the surface. And that mother ocean regulates the whole of our surface oceans. And there's a mother spring. So Lemuria is all about the water. It's all about the water. And we are the way of water. If you resonate as being a Lemurian, we are the way of water. So the upgrades in our body is about regulating the male and female balance of these waters. And Lemuria didn't just have a ring of fire originally. It had a ring of fire and ice. So this was a flame that did not consume. So therefore it didn't melt the ice. So all the original primordial information is held within the water in the Lemurian lands. It's still, all that is still, and it's within us. And if you chose a soul to incarnate particularly, or you resonate with having a connection to Lemuria, then that information's all within, that's why we say, I feel it in my waters. And when I go into Lemurian journeying, the energy in Lemuria, the air is not like we have it here. It's not an oxygen-based air. It's like a milky liquid. And so even the air we breathed in Lemuria was fluid and liquid. And, and just knowing this and holding this in our bodies and in our consciousness and in our remembering, putting back the dismembered parts of self, we start to understand why solar plasma is so important and how it influences the hydroplasma of our oceans. This is the biggest body of where the integration of solar plasma can occur at a level that we can assimilate and absorb. So, and this is where whales and dolphins are so important, because they carry the song and they send that out through our oceans as well. So yeah, there's a lot we can speak to on all of this, and I've sort of pulled in a few different angles, but yeah. Carrie,
it's that mermaid energy, or that that merman energy.
Can you hear me
what
still?
you were saying. Yes, we can, Dylan. We might be a little bit delayed for you hearing us. So, but that breathing underwater that you're referring to, or that, I guess, is that plasma, but it's watery, isn't it, Raeline? So many people listening will have those past life or even future life, so to speak, future timeline memory activations of being in those watery realms, of being, so fluid and being able to flow and deep dive and somersault different to flying, different feeling to flying. But maybe we need to explore, what these watery kind of crevices are that we can go into. And as Chris said, it represents humanity's emotional cycle. Absolutely, it does, Chris. We need to go so much deeper into those emotions, because that's where we have literally been cutting ourselves off and not allowing ourselves to explore. We're running around in a society that says, don't feel, there's a drug for everything, become automated, become robotic, but actually we need to dive deeper. So Micheal, do you want to have a comment on that in terms of how this is resurrecting us as an emotional, fluid, watery being, and where that's taking us?
I mean, I just felt really strongly as Raeline was talking about the water of Lemuria. Just it does feel, I just said that we don't have to do it right now, but there does feel like there's something to do with the crystal cell of Lemuria that's seated in our own cell consciousness, that's to be worked with today around activating that light of Lemuria internally. And of course, in regards to Lemuria and the southern land of Australia and New Zealand, etc., and all the way to Easter and Hawaii, there does feel like there's this emergence of tribe now from these areas, that that they are stepping into their leadership roles, and this is in the power of their using the power of their I guess emotional realm to support their ways of teaching and of getting their light out to the globe, almost like it's time for this aspect to match other aspects in the world, I would say.
Yeah, amazing. So Raeline, you actually have a conference coming up, the Cosmic Consciousness Conference, and you will be speaking in particular about the Lemurian grids. So can you just explain a little bit more about the work that you're currently doing and the research that you've been, I don't know whether you'd even call it research, maybe downloads that you've been receiving, and what you can tell us about what's happening at this time on Earth in terms of Lemuria. And then I want to get into Atlantis and Lemuria and what this merger is all about.
Okay, so the information that I have is information that it's my own consciousness streams, and part of it is a connection to what's out there in terms of consciousness streams, but also my own remembering. So a lot of the times I try and look for information about what I receive, and it's just not there. I can't find it on the internet, and I've had to sort of learn.
Oh, it was happening last week. It was my internet, but unfortunately happening again this week. So here we go.
Yeah, I mean, so a lot of the information that I share is coming from inside myself, and it's remembering. It's remembering lifetimes. It's remembering. I have learnt to connect with 5-dimensional facets of myself, and that they come through with various information, some pertaining to the Earth, some pertaining to other places, and how the Earth and those places are interacting with each other. So that's the way I get the information. A lot of it started off with Atlantean stuff, and I got pulled to go live in Ireland, which is very strong Atlantean energy. And also, as I said to Carrie earlier, 7 times going to Egypt, and also living in the Florida Keys for quite a few years. So I got taken to the Florida Keys and the Bahamas, Bimini. So I brought groups there. So it started with the Atlantean stuff. And even though I'm from, a Lemurian area Australia. And I had, I was just sort of peripheral, but once I'd really got the Atlantean stuff, then the Lemurian stuff really kicked in. And after 15 years of traveling the world, I started to go to places that were more Lemurian, and then suddenly got pulled back home, and people said, "Did you miss your family? Is that why?" I said, "No, the whales called me back to open up birthing gates around Australia." And so it's the heart of Lemuria with Uluru in the centre, and then there's 4 birthing gates: Monkey Maya on the west, and on the east, Tin Can Bay, which are both dolphin areas, and then there's an area up in the north near Darwin, and then down on the Great Australian Bight, and they're all whale and dolphin birthing gates. And the central hub at Uluru is the orchestra pit for the songs to travel along the song lines, and then the conductor of the orchestra is Tefnut, whose name literally means spittle or spit or moisture, and she's the Sphinx. So the Sphinx is not a male, it's a female, and her name is actually Tefnut. So this is a connection in, through, under, and the Giza Plateau is a primordial ocean. So we have these connections with Lemuria through the grids. And then we have the star mirroring grids overlaying. So over that cross that I was asked to open up on these 4 directions and 4 points, and then at Uluru as the hub, bringing it through and sending out around the world. Overlaying it is the Southern Cross. Now, we know the Southern Cross is very powerful in the mythos of this continent and the original people here. And we connect in with this through other nations. Like, I had to go open up Muir portals in Bali, which are called the Lemurian heart portals. And I was diving, and I was down in a cave, and I had my little skull, George, who I didn't know his name at the time. I think I might have shared this story. And I was 100 feet down scuba diving, and he started lighting up in all these amazing colours, even though we were really deep. And he was anchoring this stuff in and telling, showing me what to do and what mudras to put in, because there's a lot of hand dancing when I open up these grids. And so George he said, "Oh, you've never asked me my name." And I said, "Well, what's your name?" He said, "George." And I went, "George, that's a very, it's all fancy names for skulls." And he said, "No, my name's George." He said, "Look up the Greek word for George." And so Yirgos in Greek means earth worker, which later got translated into farmer. So George is my earth worker buddy for any stuff going along. But when I surfaced, the major tsunami had hit that really devastated Japan and nearly took out the Fukushima. So there was a whole thing going on, and I was in Bali, under the ocean, working on this grid in a crystal cave with George, lighting up in all these fluorescent colours, and up on the surface, this whole earthquake and tsunami hit, and I didn't know that had happened while I was down there. So yeah, the grid work, I could just tell a million stories, really. A lot of it for me is in under the ocean, because that's where the A grids are. We're working on the B grid, but soon to transfer over collectively. I know individuals are doing amazing work with this. And, I love to swim, but I could never put my head under the water. So I could do backstroke and breaststroke perfectly, but I was always felt really uncomfortable with freestyle. So I had to learn to scuba dive to go in and work with these new grids in under the ocean. And that first come in with the first tsunami where Thailand got taken out. So, so for me, it's all about oceanic consciousness. It's all about opening up these Lemurian heart portals. It's all about bringing in the rising of Mu is our stabilization point for 5D, consciousness as a springboard. It's not like we just stop there. That's just our new fundament. It's our new foundation. And, that's where they lived in a 3D body, And so ascension symptoms that everyone is experiencing now really it's the reverse happening. We're reversing. The body is going through, instead of shutting down, the body's opening up again into crystalline and silicate and etheric, and being able to dance through the dimensions again, like we did in Mu. And so, we're changing back again from the other extreme back into, and so that reverse of having to become dense and then now become more crystalline and etheric, we're going through the same process but in the reverse. And so that's why this is happening to us and why we're feeling this. And part of the Lemurian construct or the architecture, the way it's been designed, and the gold prints of Lemuria are all about the golden light plasma. It's all about light plasma is fluid, and light is fluid, and the way we perceive light is changing greatly, because it's the same as what I was talking about with the air. The elements are shifting very quickly for us all, and our perception of the elements are changing at a rate of knots. But yeah, in Mu, these things were very interchangeable. And, in ancient Cometian law in Egypt, before pharaonic rule, they understood, or they understand, because the Cometians are still with us, this is a matriarchal lineage that's been handed down. So we can see there's that Mother Mu line coming even through Egypt, which most people consider very Egyptian, but it has its own flavour and its own understanding of that energy. But they perceive us to have 180-degree senses, 180 senses. And so, I can give like seeing through the heart, or, and a lot of the elements are tied in with the senses. See, our fire, our water, it all ties in with our 5 senses. So if we have 180 senses and sense perceptions, then we can understand that there's interchangeable elements that correspond with that.
It's powerful, because it's this, as you always say, Raeline, it's this remembering, putting back, aspects of self,
dismembered parts of self.
Dismembered parts, yes. And so we speak to these things because we have, in fact, been on a descension timeline, forgetting who we are, coming down through the dimensional layers, moving into that soul amnesia until we're pretty much asleep at the wheel of our own consciousness, our own life. And then the reawakening occurs. So it's not that we're even learning this. We're just simply remembering who we are. And it's a necessary pathway to move into those descension timelines. Absolutely. And then come back through the ascension timelines. Very, very challenging, of course, as we ascend. But, feeling through the heart, all of these new ways that we get to describe what's happening. 180 senses, it's kind of beyond words, really, isn't it? And we know that our psychic abilities, our telepathy or telempathy, are coming back online. It gets to a point where I feel, for anyone who's very new to these kind of discussions, be aware that everything that you are thinking, in fact, is becoming part of the collective hologram, the consciousness field that we're all a part of. Maybe we grew up thinking no one can hear my thoughts, and we were safe to have any kind of thinking. Well, we realize no, every thought is amplified into that holographic reality, in which we're all a part of, because there is only oneness ultimately. So we are very responsible to our brothers and sisters for what we are projecting into that collective consciousness field, into that quantum field, if you like. And wow, things are becoming very, very refined for us. And I guess
our reactions, our reactions, I would like to add to that, because, you know, I came in psychically open and, you know, worked really hard to shut it all down through all means of going off track, and then had to just surrender and say, well, this isn't going away, and you know, not learning not to see it as a curse, but, you know, a God-given blessing. And you know, and then so it's our reactions, because as we awaken, we can read the thoughts of others. And, you know, I never go for psychic readings, but I was sort of, inspired, I should say, to go. And she said, you know, you're psychic and blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah. And she said, but you read the thoughts of others. And there is a whole, you know, our reactions are our contributions. And this is where we're talking about the water element and how, you know, thinking emoto, that water holds memory, and how far this goes with our being able to respond to the Earth Mother's calling and not to be in that reactive state. And it is a discipline, and we have a lot of triggers around us, especially on social media and all around, where there's a lot of pull to be triggered by, you know, the reactive stuff, you know, rather than remaining with the responsive call of the Earth Mother, and being able to remain within the living libraries of, you know, Gaia Galactica, you know, to really be able to be with that.
Let's I'll answer this question for you, Bonnie, but I'm going to hand it over to Micheal to go a bit deeper. But, you know, in a basic sense, the telepathy, we say telepathy is reading of the thoughts. Telepathy is more for the clairsentient people who feel everything. So you feel it in a different way. And I guess this ties back into what Raeline was discussing around the 180 senses that will come online. You know what you know. Sometimes you can't explain what you know, but you know what you know. And so you don't even have to be, I can be on the opposite side of the world to someone and I can feel what they're feeling. But I'll let you have a chat about it, Micheal, because obviously you're one of the world's, in my opinion, anyway, one of the world's greatest psychics.
Am I? Oh, that's nice to know. Oh, thank you. Yes, I agree with Raeline in regards to it's been a curse to feel so much, but also as the energy shifts, as we do come into this higher timeline, as we do our inner work and work with our triggers, as we do kind of connect, I think, our souls with the remembrance, as Raeline was saying, about different aspects of ourselves from different times and lands. I feel like we are calling ourselves much more home in a grounded sense in the physical crystalline body template, to work with the energies of the earth. And something that came through for me a few weeks ago was which I guess is same as Raeline was talking about, the under the ocean grids. I was sensing that there was this kind of Lemurian grid under Australia that was waiting to come up, but it had been kind of and not just Lemuria, also Atlantis grid in the Americas, and it had been sort of log jammed. I'd love to have your take on this, Raeline, Carrie. Kind of log jammed by, I guess, the collective consciousness, and that it's about to flip, and that, but not in a scary or a fearful way, but just in an emergence of this energy that's really ready to come up. And then as we are one with the grids, that will help us to really, I guess, rise up in our own consciousness as a collective, as light workers, whatnot, and to really bring this next piece of ourselves kind of forward. That's why I'm so excited to be here doing this with you guys, and so excited to be hearing Raeline is doing the conference. I think it'll be really powerful, and I'm glad you're going to be there doing that. That feels really good. I'll be in Sydney doing my own little 555 little thing, but yeah, it feels.
Well, you'll be on the ley line.
Yeah, well, I feel like it's interesting that I'm there for that, so we'll be connected, I'm sure, through that experience. So powerful. Yeah, it feels like and interesting. You talk about the plate shifts, and when you've been doing the light work, and just how I think we've got some really full on cyclone or tornado-y stuff going on in WA right now. And it's just over the area where the solar eclipse is going to hit. So it's interesting. It feels like we're taking off, guys. Feels like we're taking.
Yeah. And there was a big tornado in America too, I think near Missouri. Guys, if you're from the US, let us know what's going on there. But I believe there were lives lost as well. And, we're always going to speak to the fact that me having just been through these cyclones in I'm just going to call it Lemuria today, they're necessary. They're very, very challenging. People may lose their lives, but ultimately there is no death. There's just a rearranging sometimes of frequencies, always for the highest good of all. And if we can just learn to relax the nervous system as much as possible, we can continue through these upgrades. When we grip on with fear, that is when we're in trouble. Now, I know that is a very big ask. Look at what we've just been through the last few years as to how the negatively polarized beings, which are also ourselves, want to target us with, all of these fears. And if we can work out things ahead of time, we'll be okay. But literally, we continue then just to keep white knuckling our way through life. It is very, very debilitating to our nervous systems, to our soul, to our essence. We must learn to fall back into the arms of the beloved, whatever you call that, God, goddess, all that is. It could just be earth, whatever nature. It doesn't matter what your term is, but to learn to truly relax. And I want to go a step further, not just relax, have fun. We are meant to be having fun. We have forgotten to have fun. We need to bring back the giggles and the laughter. And Raeline, you spoke before about the dancing of Lemuria, and I guess these matriarchal cultures are coming back not to take over. We've let the matriarchal, side have its day in the Lemurian times, and then the patriarchal side in the Atlantean times. And I want to talk about the merger, but to let them dance together, and to let the lovemaking return, and to, let the polarities come together, and allow the joy and the exhilaration and the fun to be had right here, right now in this earthscape. So before we get into the Atlantean, side of things, which will be a deep dive in itself, what can we learn in terms of, you spoke before we went live, Raeline, about Shambhala and being the gold print. And I've had these terminologies come through me as well. The gold plate is the upgrade from the template, and the gold print is the upgrade from the blueprint. So what is Shambhala? What is this gold print all about?
So firstly, Shambhala is our spiritual dimensions of our earth. So it's the component of us which resides within the eternality realms. Okay, so it's a connector point to our Satchitananda, which is being eternally blissful and knowledgeable. Okay, eternally full of bliss and knowledge. So we have access to that. That is what I call the gold print for this planet is set from that. And then everything else is disseminated from that. And I'm having deja vu as I'm just speaking right now. So for me, what I feel with this is that the gold prints are stepping forth. They're moving into, they're moving into our fields more and more, or we're allowing this free will. We're asking, we're allowing, we're calling home. This is a homecoming. This is a calling of home. Mu is all about the homecoming. That is what Lemuria is all about. And so it's a coming back to the heart, coming back to who we are as a soul. So Shambhala, the spiritual dimensions of our planet, Lemuria would be the precedence that is set to hold this energetic for us and to move freely into. Now, I'd like to say with the shutting down of grids and things like and our own energetics, it was not all that we went dense and we chose. You know, there were mind locks put over our planet. You know, there over the mind gate. There were locks placed over the mind gate of our planet deliberately with our consciousness. And we didn't know. We just simply didn't know that we could choose to have these locks taken off. And so just by simply knowing that is important. But there's another twist to this, because when we knew, like for me with the Atlantean, there's 12 dolphin dreaming temples that I've brought through and I teach about. They're Atlantean and Lemurian, and they're all around the planet and they're in under the ocean. And so when I bring my groups to Bimini, I do a whole week retreat with that. And so when we knew that we made a choice that if one of the temples got compromised, then they'd all shut down. And so in shutting them down, we also had to shut down ourselves. And so as these temples in under the ocean are opening up again, as we're transferring from the B grid back to the A grid, which is the temples that are sunken in under the oceans, as that all starts to activate and light up, we start to come online and start to remember. And this is what opens up the mind gate again. Okay, so we have to understand that we chose to shut this down to protect the sanctity and the purity of what was upheld. And we had to choose to shut down ourselves, which was very, very devastating for us to consciously go in and do that. But now we're opening up again, and we're bringing it all online, and it's a marriage. It's a dance. You know, I see all this like a lomi. You know, if anybody's ever had lomi massage, and they're dancing all around you, and this is a dance. And you know, I love the seer Almine, and has incredible information about Lemuria and Lemurian scrolls and Lemurian records. And you know, she speaks to this as that the whole thing is that the feminine, the whole thing with the temples, we can see the Atlantean, the Lemurian, the masculine, the feminine. We can look at it as a yin-yang, and we can see that we've been rotating back and forth in the yin and rotating back and forth in the yang, and we're learning to marry the two again and see that there's a dot of black and the white but the whole thing with the white and the black, we can look at it too. She speaks very strongly to this, that the whole male-female balance really is us coming into an integration of our whole understanding of life and death. Because she speaks to, from the Nawals, who bring through the informations of the ancient Toltec traditions, which are Lemurian descendants, how the whole male-female balance and the whole marrying and the whole hieros is all based on life and death. And so when we have these two constructs integrated fully in us, then we can experience physical immortality.
Powerful. It's
very powerful, very simple, but it's profound.
It's and it really is beyond words. We do our best to describe these
and so this is
forces, but it's an alchemy.
When this alchemy of life and death is fully integrated, then our eternality and our incorruptibility is brought into hieros, sacred marriage.
Beautiful. So let's use that then, the incorruptibility. Where did we get corrupted? Micheal, where did we get corrupted? Both in the Lemurian templates and in the Atlantean templates, because we tend to put a lot on Atlantis, that, Atlantis fell. We may have seen that it went very excess patriarchal. There certainly seemed to be some interesting weird science that went on at the end of the Atlantean epoch. Were we bringing in, the warring energies from Mars? Were there portals opening that were bringing in some very distorted frequencies that, yes, were necessary in terms of the storylines that we needed to play out as we needed to come into this Ascension timeline. But to balance it out, where were we corrupted in the Lemurian times? Where were we corrupted in the Atlantean times? What have we learnt from both of those, and where are we going now? Now, I know that's the biggest question probably on the face of the earth right now, but feel free to channel. If a chief, Lemurian chief comes through, I can feel him around you. So if he wants to come through and say something, go for it.
Wow. Okay, so I guess as just following on from what Raeline was expressing around the balance, I was really feeling that physically, as Raeline was describing the left and the right channels around the central channel, the balancing of those, starting in the hip creases all the way up, the Kundalini channel all the way up to source. So thank you for that transmission, really, through the spoken word. And also in regards to corruption, oh my gosh, big subject, but it feels that I can just talk to, I guess, my experience in through as one of the light language channels from Lemuria. There was much, we were all very innocent until it was too late. And I feel that because it was a very, I would say, pure energy, and another force came through and kind of hijacked and turned the people on one another through mind manipulation. That there was definitely a taking of the tongues of the light language channels. Then that was one of the things that happened around not being able to speak the frequencies of Mu. That was some of that was taken from us. So there's been, I feel like there was similar to what Raeline was saying around the shutdown. The shutdown was purposeful there was a time when we wouldn't go back into the same repetition of narratives. And I've been working personally with people who are speakers of the light language or speakers of spirit, if you will. It doesn't have to be in light language form, to really release this Lemurian seal at the back of the tongue, back of the throat chakra, that has been held almost a little in paralysis or frozen from that time, which feels linked with what Raeline was saying around the closing of the temple gates in certain oceanic underworlds. And this, I don't know if this is at all answering the question about corruption, but basically, I feel like there have been implementations and seals put in both scenarios, Atlantis and Lemuria, so that we didn't go back into past Armageddon prophecies, really, you know. And I feel that we're now playing out some of the narratives that need to be played out for us to move forward, and they're accelerating as the energies accelerate. And you know, I personally, I felt there was a Draco influence in Lemuria that came in and wasn't so helpful, if you will. So, but this is all as way it should be, and now that it's all opening back up. So, I think that we are, on a personal level, we are working now to open our seals and gates and recognize the triggers from the corruption of the past, and not just what's happened to us in this lifetime, but obviously what's happened to us in those previous lifetimes. And because we are so psychic and aware of multiple timelines, this is something that I feel is really important to us as a cohort, is that we stick with the truth. We stick with the truth of the now, as well as release and unfold these energies that are coming out of us from all different timelines at the same time. So I'm finding it disorientating at times to try and unravel these aspects of our energy so that the plasma body can come back into alignment. But there's so many things happening at once, and I feel like we're dissolving corruption triggers through the narratives of the day, really. So it's all in alignment. It's all in alignment, even though sometimes it feels crazy intense and physically intense. It's all a way to open us back up, you know.
Oh, beautiful, both of you. Yeah, it definitely is very intense. You know, we've had a big week with news. Many people have seen the video of what went on with the Dalai Lama. And, you know, a lot of these events, if you like, these world events create such division. And actually, we can rise above the division and just see clearly from maybe just, you know, move up an echelon with your awareness and just, you know, look down and say, okay, why is this happening? What does this movement, what does this event give me an opportunity for, rather than get into rights and wrongs? Where is this leading us? And I'm going to use your word, Micheal, alignment, because it is about alignment. But the chaos has to kind of come up from the ground to rip everything apart, to help us realign, to help us see clearly again. And it's, for me anyway, I can only speak to my feeling on it. It was about stop looking outside of yourself. There are no teachings to be found outside of yourself.
Yep.
Maybe I need to rework that. There are teachings to be found outside of yourself, but you are the one who can discern through that heart gate every single time. Just because someone's in a leadership position does not mean that you have to take on their teachings. You know, pick and choose. You have free will to pick and choose, but mostly trust that heart knowing, trust that gut instinct, trust, you know, learn to attune to your chakra system, not just the 7 chakras that maybe we've been working with, you know, for the past decades, but these galactic chakras now that we seem to have more connection to. What am I feeling in these higher scapes? What's going on? What does my intuition say? Learning to trust self over and above anyone else. That is our way through, because it's in those sort of unseen realms now that we need to go in order to form that unity connection with all.
And I think she's gone this time. So it's just us two for a moment, Raeline.
Okay, so
You want to speak?
I can speak to that. You know,
hey, now I'm getting lost.
I was just
hopefully we just keep on going. Look, we're all exiting and coming back in. I don't know. Anyway, my wife
teleporting.
Yeah. I said we're going inward. Okay, Carrie's gone.
Well, yeah, there was a Lemurian Holocaust, and yes, you know, a part of the Orions was involved, a part of the Dracos was involved. Yes, and you know, what you were saying, Carrie, is look, no one's having your experience of you, and no one's having your experience of the world. And this is a really important thing to keep bringing home to ourselves, that, you know, in Lemuria, in Atlantis, yes, there were high priests and high priestesses. Now that whole role got corrupted, that terminology got corrupted, because originally it was a free for all. You could go into the temples and connect freely yourself anytime, whenever you wanted. And your connection to the stars was readily available. Now, as things start to shut down, you know, it was only that certain people could go in, namely high priests, high priestesses, and then the people could only go at certain times of the years during seasonal events, and this shut everyone down and cut everyone off. But people forgot that, you know, if we just stay connected to the earth, if we walk the land, if we there is nothing more powerful than earthing and breathing. To stay connected to the living libraries, to everything. We can go down a million rabbit holes and wormholes and taken on a merry dance all over the universe with what's unfolding in this chaotic juncture, this phase, which is necessary. It's all part of the chaos, and the chaotic frequencies are necessary to free up, you know, to dislodge what has been locked. And, you know, again, it's remaining the observer and getting back to Dadiri, which is an Aboriginal word for sacred listening, listening to the land. You know, when we walk the land, this is how we remember. When we walk the land, we remember. And when you walk the land barefoot, you remember, and you can hear. And you're not taken down the rabbit holes and the wormholes and on a merry jig all over the universe. So this is such a simple thing, but so profound. Yet again, the simple things are, you know, the profound things are simple.
It's incredible how we all get around with rubber-soled shoes. And I go on, I feel like I go on ad nauseum about grounding, about getting the soles, whether you want to spell it S-O-L-E-S or S-O-U-L-S, getting the soles of the feet on the earth. And I feel like it's true service to your brothers and sisters as well, because you are receiving through your conduit, through your holy conduit, the solar energy or the lunar energy. You are gridding it down into the earth, and then it can be uploaded by your brothers and sisters. And equally, you are uploading what your brothers and sisters are anchoring for you.
And
so
our hair.
It's too simple almost. Yeah, it's too simple.
Our hair is our antenna. It's our, you know, we've got stars in our hair. We've got stars in our bones. And if we remember that, you know, this is our antenna to the stars, and this is, you know, these are our, you know, bare feet. Always walk bare feet, you know, and this is how we anchor it in. This is how we let the universe know how we're doing.
Yes.
Hi, guys.
And breath is life. You know, I've taught yoga for 25 years. Breath is life. Paying attention to the in and the out breath, riding the waves of the breath becomes the Aladdin's magic carpet ride. It will take you anywhere.
Absolutely.
Pegasus will come in. The Eagle quest will come in. Wherever you need to go in the galaxy will come in via the breath work. It's all there. It's all free, and it's all available in the now moment. Every now moment, it's with you. All you have to do is go inward. It's that simple. It truly is that simple.
Well,
and we miss it.
It activates the DMT in our body, our natural DMT. You know, we've got all these drugs in our body.
Yeah.
THC receptors, DMT receptors. We've got it all.
Yeah. And really, I mean, I'm loving seeing the emergence of the breathwork cultures now. Of course, it's always been there. We just rename it and it becomes the thing. But that's fine, because it serves a purpose. Because all the transformational breathing, the Wim Hof breathing, the Himalayan breathing, you know, it's all getting into vogue right now. Unfortunately for the yoga industry, and having been part of it for so long, it's really lost a lot of traction because so many yoga leaders were found out through the last few years as being false light teachers. That's okay. That's okay. That's their journey. That's part of their awakening as well, to realize that they were holding on to truths outside of themselves, that they were repeating parrot fashion, that they didn't really embody, they didn't feel, they didn't actually know what they were saying. So again, it's like the Dalai Lama incident. It's all there to serve us, collectively, if we can see clearly why it's happening and to continue to rise up. But let's just, let's keep going in with Lemuria and Atlantis and the merger that's happening there. I'll hand it back to you, Micheal, and see, what's coming through you now, what we may need to hear. If there's any light language also that wants to come through, please share with us.
So there was so I feel like to just do a little piece around this, the what was the golden, oh, what did you guys say? The gold prince. The gold print. Yeah. The gold print. Yeah. My mind's blown. But the gold print. And this is just I'm going to just do a very brief little activation. So for those that are not sure what light language is, it just sounds a little like gobbledygook frequency. It's a frequency download of energy that you just have to let wash over you and activate, release, whatever it does to you personally. There's no right or wrong. And if you don't feel it so much, that's fine too. So this
we feel it, baby. We feel it. We love it.
Feel it.
Bring it on. Bring it on, Big Mike.
I sound like that
Magic Mike. Yeah, we want to dance.
I'll take that.
Should have loaned me.
I'll take a massage from him anyway, any day.
That's right.
But anyway, enough of that shenanigans. But yeah, so this is this is a golden print activation. It's a cell consciousness activation. It's also tying into the purity consciousness of Lemuria. So this is knowing that we hold the crystalline structure of the original waters Lemuria within the seed cell consciousness of our being at an internal level, on a cell level, through our organism, especially the those that are seeders of those lineages of Atlantis and Lemuria are holding these frequencies deep in their cell consciousness. And this is a simple activation to awaken anything that is to be awakened at this time, as we feel like we go into a bit of a paradigm shift in consciousness in the next week or two. So again, just listening to the sound, you can imagine that you are in your cell consciousness. So you can picture that you are a cell within a cell of your own being. And so the cell consciousness is very fluid. It is very spacious. It is like the ocean, endless, unfurling waves. We go into that consciousness and we activate the purity cell of Lemuria, the gold print of Lemuria, through the portal of Shambhala. Ashkim bareke po de kana shala barke po dono oshke la barke kene ke shileke shimbarikana ashala barke ke de ke poro koporo bede de kanana ashala badanana ala. Open the golden gates now, my friends. Open the golden gates. Shimbariki bana ashalabari degene shele barka degede bekalaki ishkene ara ila boro unu oshkila bari shelebadi kuro kono ishke badi koro ka shelebada shombaregi alaka Shebanana kio ashki alaka. Welcome home, my friends. Welcome home. We are the Lemurian High Council, and we grant you great blessings on the unfoldment of phase 2 and the grids emerging once again.
That was a really unique soundscape that was coming through there, Michael.
Oh.
I don't know whether I've ever heard you with that particular energy signature. It was really, the Lemurian Council. That was very, very powerful. And what was coming up for me is just that I had joy to begin with, but also that sorrow that we had our tongues cut out for speaking light language, like what has gone on in these times gone by where we have been so censored and so many of us still being just, I've been under censorship all week this week again, on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
Why is that force there to shut us down, to take our tongue out? Or the Atlantean days where they literally put, the collars, the metal collars around the throat, to shut down the throat chakra. You've had a bit of a cough there. So, for anyone who's listening, if you're feeling that kind of blockage there in the throat, and I know people are still very frightened to speak up. In modern day, we have these social media forums. It is an opportunity to speak your truth. Yes, there's a lot of AI, strangeness that goes on in these kind of templates, but they still serve a very high purpose. Or maybe you're wanting to run workshops, but you're frightened to do so. So maybe for the collective, this is just going to help us, to heal that deep trauma of our throat chakras being shut down, our tongues being cut out, and to speak again freely, because your heart song, your voice, your vibration through your unique voice, through these vocal cords vibrating and creating sound is so important. Your written word is so important, and it adds to that collective jigsaw puzzle, if you like, because everyone's got their unique piece, and this is what we're doing when we're building these grids. We're the grids. We hold the codes. We are rebuilding this unification, this template, this gold plate, this gold print. It's us. So my message for you all listening is, please speak up. We want to hear from you. It doesn't matter how many likes you get on your social media. It's not what it's about. It's about that projection into the hologram. And I need to cough. It's starting to come out. So thank you.
Oh, yeah. I had it before I even joined the group. I started. And there's a really great thing that when I teach light language classes, there's a thing that I do, which is simply just get your hand like that and just on your chest just go, hoo-ya, hoo-ya. So if you feel that coming up in your throat, just hoo-ya really powerfully, gets it shifting really quickly. And another thing I do, which is very connected to Lemuria, is I use the vowels with M. So ma 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 me 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 mo 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 mo. And if you just keep doing that when you're in a frequency that's when you're being triggered or something is something that's lowering your frequency, and you can feel that energy just becoming dense and your frequency being thrown off. Do the vowels with the M, with the moo, finishing off with the moo. It's really powerful and simple. But they're two things that I utilize regularly when I'm in a situation or around people who are holding a certain frequency or speaking in a certain way, and I can, you can't avoid these things. I try my damnedest, and virtually I'm a hermit, but
we all love, aren't we all? I just wanted to say just a quickie on that note about the speaking up and moving forward. I feel like in just from a personal context, and also in regards to what Raeline was talking about earlier around the seals and that we were shut down for a reason because of the corruption of the past. And I feel like it's also a divine timing thing for some people. Like I'm not saying I personally haven't got a tendency to sort of hide a little, but I feel like there's a unique alignment with the divine order of things, that we're all coming online when we're needed, and I think it's more and more happening. So I do encourage, just like Carrie said, it's time. Let's step it up a bit. Yeah, let's step it up a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, you said earlier, I believe it was you, Micheal, that said we're coming into those leadership positions. And I feel like the old template, instead of the gold plate, the old template is to look to just a few leaders outside of ourselves, as opposed to being leaders together, walking as one together, spiraling as one together through this ascension portal that is open for us as Mother Earth comes to the end of this galactic cycle.
The triquetra, the trident.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wish I had a picture of a trident. I'll just flash it up there now. Everyone visualize that in the third eye, anchor that code now. We must do this together. Otherwise, we're back into the wars of Atlantis and all of these.
The law of one.
That's it.
Lemuria is the law of one.
Yes. And I feel like Atlantis was so powerful because we really did bring our supernatural powers online in ways possibly we haven't yet seen again at this particular time frame in this continuum of consciousness.
Well, yeah.
We cannot afford to, we might do it again, and that's okay, because it never ends, the continuum. However, can we not get into ego this time? That is maybe our greatest test. We don't need to thwart each other and be better than each other. We can celebrate each other. We can lend wisdom from each other. We can become one. Law of one.
Glean.
Yeah. So we'll start to wrap it up. I just want to talk a little bit about language, because light language is so powerful. I love that lesson you gave us just then as well, Raeline. That was so magical. And I guess, returning to who we were as kids, where we all spoke star language, before we got our adult on and decided, that's just silly, that's our imagination. But there's certainly a lot of talk in the conscious collective about language and about how it has been bastardized and used to cast spells in a black magic kind of way. So who wants to have a chat about that? Or maybe you can both chime in there.
I'll let Raeline go for that first.
Thank you.
I like asking the big questions.
Well, firstly, it's not so much the words, it's the intention behind the words. And certain words have been, we can say, hijacked, and certain languages have been hijacked. For example, we can say, if you want to talk about the magic stuff, Latin has been heavily hijacked. Not just within the religious or the Catholic or church or the religious stuff, but also within, the magic, black magic. Latin has very much been hijacked. Yet, interestingly, it is a language, for example, that dragons like to use. So we can talk about it being interchangeable, and we can talk about, the vibration and the intention for use. And, when I'm in Glastonbury, the dragons always talk in a Latin light language to me. And, and not all of them were guarding the gates purposefully for good intent in Glastonbury. And some of them got very ego and forgot who they were and why they were placed there in the first in the first instance. So, it really is about the intention and the frequency carried. And I love that scene from, when Aslan dies from the witch, the lion, the witch, and the wardrobe, and then and then he comes to life. He's risen, and it's because she didn't understand the deep magic about death and how you can reverse it. And here we go full circle with the whole Lemurian thing. It's about that whole understanding the intention behind, and the deep intention behind it. It's one thing to observe something, and in Buddhist tradition there is that concept where you can observe something as your personality self, and then observe as your higher self, and then observe yourself observing yourself. And it really is that intention of how you see things, and this is where we're talking at this time, while we're in that frenetic timing, and we're in that chaotic frequency that's shaking up and rattling everything, is that we stay in that level of being the observer, bearing witness, and holding that energy of bearing witness. And bearing witness doesn't just mean looking at something. It means being accountable for your actions, being accountable for your thoughts, being your reactive energies, where you act on them, whether you speak them. It's the frequency first and foremost that we're carrying at any given moment. And that was the same when you're saying Carrie got shut down this week. We speak to the walls. We go out and speak to a tree. It will be carried through. People will get it. And this is what certain groups and entities don't understand, that this is a done deal. But there's a little dance we're having, a little loamy along the way.
Do you know I'm trained in loamy, Raeline? So for years I would do those flows. So carry these codes within you. I've always been so deeply connected to island culture, to the Lemurian culture, to the dolphins, to the whales.
Absolutely.
Which many of us have, obviously being Australian, but equally too, people in the Northern Hemisphere have the connection to the Mu culture as well. It's in them, and they're holding those notes there in their regions as well, as we allow this harmonic convergence, if you like, of the Lemurian and the Atlantean gold plates to come together. That heros gamos, that feminine masculine, however we yin yang, as you said, it's that dance, and it's here. It's good. It's wrapping around itself. It's a spiral. We need to embody it. We need to move like it. We need to, as I said before, we need to relax deeply. That's the biggest message coming through at the moment. I know it sounds simple, but we need to deeply, deeply, deeply relax and to bring the joy back online, because we want to have fun as we go through this ascension portal, don't we, guys?
Oh, yeah.
It certainly gets very intense. But let's wrap it up for today. Micheal, let's speak to, I'll hand it over to you to speak to, actually, can we do two more things? Because Raeline, you did mention about the solar dragons, Kuan Yin dragons. So we'll just see if they want to come through at the end, if you've got any light language there. But I'll go over to Micheal and talk about Lemuria as the Garden of Eden. What is that concept? What is that innate knowing within us about the garden, about the abundance? What's in us? What's coming back online that has been dormant or deactivated within us? Can you speak to that?
Well, I'll let these cards speak, actually, because I picked 3 cards from this deck. The beautiful, I think she may be Aussie, but I'm not sure. It's Beyond Lemuria Oracle deck. And I picked a root chakra, crown chakra, so heaven and like 1 and 7, the whole chakra pillar of the physical. And then finally, endless opportunities. So I feel like this is exactly what you were just saying about the abundance, about the Garden of Eden kind of narrative of I guess, purity and, you know, just that earthly realm of paradise, if you will. And it's like we are doing the inside job of creating that now, bringing the joy back, connecting with our ancestors, our heritages, whether it's galactic, Muir, Atlantis, whatever, bringing all pieces of ourselves back in now to the from the root to the crown, really, so that we can have that new alignment, that, well, I say new alignment, but old alignment, really, back to the originals and frequency of the gold print. So it's simple. It's just coming back to the innate naturalness of everything, you know. That's what I feel it's all about. And it's always, as you guys were saying, it's simple. Come back to your breath, come back to your body, and do your work and have a little bit of fun at the same time. Yeah. So thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thank you for giving your time so selflessly. I mean, I receive so much personally, but I know everyone listening as well. Also want to do a big shout out to Earth Heroes TV, because they will be uploading this show very soon. They're just amazing souls doing amazing things. Earth Heroes TV, if you want to hear more from other truthers, light workers, psychics, information that often gets censored, Earth Heroes TV is a great platform to go to. There's such a merger going on between the native frequencies of Lemuria and the technological frequencies of Atlantis. And I know I've spoken to you before, Micheal, and you're so non-judgmental. You know, you definitely see the bright side, if you like, of technology and how it's important. And of course, many star races are very advanced technologically. But if we go into excess with technology, it can easily be hijacked. You know, we can easily get sucked into these quantum AI computers and algorithms, you know, are running the show. We're not sure what synchronicity is anymore, because I just thought something and then an email appeared in my about that very thing I thought about. Was that AI or was that synchronicity? So we do have to bring the native frequencies back as a balancer, so that we are, you know, very much aligned with the organic timeline, but allow technology to have its place as well. Really, really important, because I think technology merging with these native frequencies, with this Lemuria resurfacing energy is just vital at the moment, because I'm getting that download again. It's gonna just bring more fun. We're gonna have more fun, more connection, because technology they're really like portals that we can go into.
Well, this is what happened over the last couple of years when a lot of people were in some kind of lockdown potential. You know, we built the tribes etherically through the online portals, really. So I don't think without some of the technology that is around today, we could have actually started to do this global work that we're doing now. So I think that's an important, I'm not saying there isn't, again, it's a bit like the use of language. It's the intention behind the technology and what it's used for, whether it's used for supporting a high timeline or not. So I think, again, you know, it's again, tuning into your inner resonance around that, you know.
Yeah, I love that, building the tribes, because I think that's another key word for today when we're back talking about our Lemurian tribes, our chiefs and our queens. This is why I feel at this particular time we're being shown over and over again what false light teaching is, because whilst the tribes are very, very important, we are following the teachings, we are following the path. We're not necessarily following the teacher, although they're wonderful. They're leaders in their own way.
Yeah. And
Be very vulnerable too. You know, people like you and I and Raeline have to be very vulnerable to speak to some of these concepts, you know, to be called out all the time as woo-woo, as, you know, and we've been doing it for like, what, nearly 3 decades. It's like, you know, it does what it, yeah, over for you. It takes a tremendous lot of courage and vulnerability to step into these platforms. However, don't follow us, follow the path. You know, that is what it's all about. But yes, the technology has helped us build these tribes, but always handing the power back to the individual and saying, you know, follow your heart rhythm, follow the pathway home. It's within you, you know. It's interesting. I saw a wonderful meme the other day about, you know, and I love Jesus. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely adore Jesus. He's a wonderful ascended master. But showing that the son who walked on water was the golden pathway of Ra, the sun coming down onto the water. The son, Jesus, did not walk on water per se. He might have, but if he did, then we all can, you know. He is not separate from us. We are him, he is us. We are all one. So, you know, following that golden pathway. Not a person.
Beautiful.
Well, that's what he said. He said, I want you to do what I have done and greater. Why would he say such things if he didn't feel that it was in our capability also?
Yeah. Hey, beautiful Erica, I am sending you so much love, personal friend of mine. I know you've been going through it, darling, so we're all just sending you so much love. And you know, it's interesting what can happen to our physical body as, you know, sometimes we're going through these huge upgrades. Our speech can change. You know, Chris's father's going through exactly the same thing at the moment, and his whole vibration has changed. Do we call it a stroke? Doesn't really matter what we call it. But his speech is different, and he's become very, very emotional. We're back to that, you know, point about this whole Lemuria topic about the emotion coming to the surface. We must dive deeper into it and allow ourselves to change, hopefully without labeling it good, bad, right, wrong, or indifferent. It is what it is, what it is, what it is. God, Goddess will always look after us no matter what. We just have to continue to stay in a space of trust. So, but Raeline, how are those solar dragons going? Does anyone want to through you? Because we'd love to hear it if so.
Okay. So I had some information come through with Kuan Yin last Sunday, and I thought it was all to do with the rising stuff, but it was to do later. As the week went on, I could get a feel for that it was what was also coming up with the Dalai Lama stuff and about karuna, compassionate action, and the whole story with Kuan Yin. Her name is Padmapati. You know, that lotus that's birthed from the mud, and so the dragons are all about clearing the mud mind. You know, and again, it's that locking of the mind gate and clearing the mud from the mind that opens up the mind gate again from these times when, you know, intentionally and deliberately they've been locked and shut down. So Kuan Yin's dragon came through and was speaking through me and communicating. So the dragon's been with me all week, so we'll just see what wants to. Uhu, rakonana mais do collector. Nanakina, autokda. Eu sei that tudo se afluir nasto. Micheal lafiet. Nista afluir lafiet. Shit, hit. To teach it. To the matter. Could I done? Mais do corratearato, mais do corrat. Música na autoditet. E no corrato, e lá, o mais do corrate, mais do corrate, na haro, tudo de eu tô arate. Ura nanayana ha kokoro to e uria yo to koro e pa yo to e na haru to te iaru So the vibe of that was starting with the Christic solar dragon of Kuan Yin, and then ended in a Lemurian blessing with hand dancing. And it was all about getting back into our childlike awe and wonder. And the frequencies were all about, the come unto me as little children. And yes, innocence is never lost. We were tricked in the mind to thinking that the innocence could ever be lost. And that, it was part of our learning in staying in the heart and staying in our innocence and staying in, and that this is again, it's about getting back to the simplicity and the purity, and again what I talk about, being connected to the land. All the keys and the codes are in the land and in us, and it's the communion again of coming home to know that with that purity and with that innocence, we can just be connected all the time, through the heart, which is the Lemurian way. Very simple, heartfelt simplicity.
Oh, that's interesting you say about the hand language, because partway through my hand, I just had to go, like the hands just had to go, the hand dancing. We had, as Rama says, wow. Rama, if we should have had you on because we need a little bit of return to innocence. We need a little bit of a song. Come on, we got to go put that Enigma track on and dance after this, guys. Like that. Yeah, I have no words. So I love you guys so very, very dearly. Thank you. This is when all the comments just start flowing through. But, please go back and read the comments later, guys, because everyone absolutely loves you both. Just so grateful that you give up your time so generously, so selflessly, to be given the gift. Rama's saying it's in the bathtub. All right, we won't get you on live then, Rama. No, we won't do it.
In the bath is fun.
But
it is Lemuria after all.
I guess we should leave with a Lemurian word, and that is a spavo, which is a greeting, but it's also it's a word where the story is a 12-year-old Lemurian boy. When you're born in Lemuria, you're paired with someone, and that you're there with them when they transition. So this young boy was paired with someone that was transitioning, called Utu, I think it was, or Otu or something like that. And when he was transitioning, there was a gift given, a gift of wisdom. This is the passing. You help transition, and then a little bit more of the knowledge of the keys, the codes, the Lemurian records are revealed. So, and he was in that age of coming into his, his journey, his earth walk, his puberty rites. And so this word was given, Espavo, and it's a word that is, thank you for taking your power back, is the meaning of the word, Espavo. But it's also a Lemurian greeting and also a goodbye. So,
thank you so much for your such deep, innate wisdom on Lemuria, Raeline. It's just incredible. Catherine Hand, if you're on Facebook, go over to Catherine's page, check out her information on the Cosmic Consciousness Conference. Raeline will be speaking there. It's at the beginning of May. I can, if anyone wants to private message me, I have a link. I can get you a little discount if you want to go. It's on Norfolk Island. I know there's not much time left, but the whole theme really is about Lemuria. And of course, Norfolk Island is part of that Lemurian grid. And if you can get yourself there, I know for people in the Northern Hemisphere, it's a bit of a trek, but well worth it. Anyone around Australia, New Zealand, I recommend it. Yeah.
And the whole theme is the 555 Lemurian Gateway. And so there, I've been powwowing with Catherine about this. There's something incredibly powerful opening up on Norfolk at that time. And I would also like to add clearing through Norfolk at that time. Cool. And it's a powerful place.
It is. I was there last year at the conference and speaking there, and I was woken up one night by many lost souls, not just the convicts that had been so horrendously
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes, but also the soldiers as well, who many of them were also caught in a timeline loop of trauma. So Mum was there with me, and we did some work on that and releasing those trapped souls. So, this is, I believe, why we're going through so much chaos and intensity at the moment.
Yeah.
So big shout out to all of the grid workers across this beautiful earthscape of ours. I'm so grateful for what everyone is doing, holding the line. There's so many narratives that we can be a part of, but don't feel like you're ever missing out. If you missed out on whatever some current narrative was, but you were off in the woods doing some grid work, that's where you were meant to be, just be called to do what you know to be right in each now moment. So so what else? Make sure you go and check out Micheal. There's his link tree address there.
Just for anybody that's interested, if they're not heading to Norfolk for the wonderful conference, I will be in Sydney doing a 555 transmission, and also I've got a solar temple transmission on the 20th online. It's going to be a 1 hour transmission in the light of the solar eclipse. So this feels like it's really brought in some codes for me. So thank you guys for inviting me on today. So it feels like a bit of a prelim kind of energy to sort of support me doing this solar temple activation for the golden light body. So if that resonates with you, you can check out my Facebook and
let's link up.
Okay. Yes.
On that.
Yes.
Timeline.
Sure.
Yeah, because anyway, it's a big thing that's happening. It's all coming through. Actually, Mount Warning is opening something up for Norfolk, and I'm still getting the intel on that, the integration of that download. But it will take care of all that lower astral stuff we were just talking about.
Oh, wonderful.
before as well in one good swoop. So it's going to be wonderful.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Well, I'll message you, Raeline. I'll message you.
Yeah, cool.
Lots of powerhouses around Mother Earth. Just truly incredible. Truly blows my mind the work that's been done. So thank you. Love everyone here in the comments. Love the live chat. Love the comments. Love you too, both so much. We'll be back again soon. I'm getting my groove back on with the show.
You are.
All right. Everyone. Much love.
Hey, Yvonne.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Yvonne.
Namaste, y'all. Bye.